episode number 17. Welcome to the Seller Club podcast. What up? How are you guys doing?
Hey, Ken.
Anna. Hey.
Hey,
Ken. Hey, Anna. Hey.
Man, it's already
Thoroughly
like February is almost done, and man, this has been a busy year. But before we talk more about how things are going and how crazy it has been, let's drop the beats right now. All right, let's start with Anna. Anna, how has been your year?
Oh my gosh, just like you said, it's been super busy, kind of unexpectedly. I feel like the first 2 weeks of January were really good for like routine setting intentions. Not huge on resolution kind of stuff, but you know, like just my daily routines, like take vitamins and drink enough water and whatever, like all my little daily things that I want to do. Did great for the first 2 weeks, and then
the third week
everything
got
busy. Yes, everything got busy, and it's just been pretty nonstop. But it's been really fun. It's been good stuff for the most part, and yeah, I've reclaimed and regained some of those routines, but definitely not as consistent every day as I was those first 2 weeks. How about you guys?
There we go. How about you, Glenn?
Personal and business both are busy right now, trying to keep a steady steady schedule for everything, and it's been very busy for January into February, especially the business wise, which we had no clue what was going to happen. We figured 2024 might start off a little slower, big Q4, 2023, maybe people will slow down a little bit on buying stuff. How are we going to attack this year? And it's been pretty busy, which is good. But we gotta keep it rolling until summer, and then once Q4 rolls up again, we gotta be ready.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, I totally agree. I mean, I remember we were talking about taking a break, right? We did. We tried as hard as we can by the end of the year, right? Or the start of the year. And I think I felt like I was more refreshed and ready to take on the business because we did that. Because if we haven't done that, then I'd be running on coffee 24/7. I agree with Anna. My routine has been wrecked. Been traveling a lot. Finally, I'm gonna be on the ground for at least a week for sure. I'm not going anywhere for at least a week.
At least a week.
I mean, that's one thing's for sure. One thing for sure. Like it don't matter. Like I'm gonna be home. I'm gonna be sleeping in my bed for the next week at least.
That's a good feeling.
Yeah, that's a good feeling. I mean, until something happens tomorrow, right? And we have to fly somewhere. But
that's the thing, though. That's what the price of being so adaptable is. You're like, yep, I can go. Here I go.
Yeah.
Whenever stuff comes up, which is cool. It's fun to be able to do that.
Yeah, and it's been fun. It's been good. I think we've definitely cranked out a lot of listings early on this year, which again, like Glenn said, we didn't expect that to happen, but as the deals come in, you gotta take advantage of all the buying opportunities, and then you gotta list it as fast as you can, because if it's not listed, it ain't selling. So
that is so true. Still true.
Yep. There you go. Well, Anna, give us the rundown of our giveaway.
Yes, this is a very exciting day. If you're listening to this episode right when it drops, or even the same day that it drops, you may or may not know we've been doing this epic giveaway, partnering with List Perfectly, of an iPhone 15 in Seller Club Green, and it is ending, or it's over. The actual entry period is over. The announcement of the winner is going to be tonight, Monday, February 19th. So go to our Instagram, Seller Club Podcast, and see if you won or see who did win if you didn't enter. We've been really pushing hard for people to know about this for about 2 weeks. So hopefully you knew, hopefully you entered, and hopefully you won.
There we go. Can't wait to make that announcement. Also, we have some little surprise for them. We actually haven't revealed it, but if you're listening, whoever's winning this is actually gonna get a one-of-one custom iPhone case, a collaboration case between List Perfectly and Seller Club. So you're the only one that has it. I mean, we don't
Yes.
even have it. Why do we
don't.
not have it?
I
It's,
need one.
it's one of one. It's rare.
It's one of
That's
one.
right.
It's rare.
We're
Yeah,
protecting
even-
the value for
Yep,
you
yeah.
instead of being
So-
selfish. We
Well,
do love an extra goodie thrown in, though. So there's definitely, I feel like that's going to be our MO, is throwing in extra goodies anytime we do
For-
giveaways. It's-
All right. Well, let's get right into it. And to start our topic, we're gonna do it the typical, old-fashioned, out-hustled way, where Glenn
yes.
leads the way, and me and Anna won't know what it is. So, Glenn, take over.
We're actually blindfolded right now.
So if you're listening to this, Hustler Hacks on YouTube. So me and Ken, we haven't gone live this year
This
yet
year.
on Wednesdays. I've been taking a really great break on Wednesdays. I really need it. We were going live for probably like 7 straight years. I would like
Every
every
week.
Wednesday.
That is so
Yeah.
crazy to me.
It is wild. So I've been enjoying this break, but what we would
Let's call
do
it a
is
hiatus. It's a hiatus. at
very
this
true,
point.
very true. We would do top 3 or top 5 or top 10 of something, and so we're gonna do it this style to where I have the topics, I know what I'm gonna talk about, and Ken and Anna are gonna throw in their feedback on this topic. Which today, top 5 challenges eBay resellers face.
Ooh.
Now I know it's a little
It's gonna
scary.
be some takes. Some takes.
I know some hot
Gonna
takes.
be happening.
um, and I think they're kind of simple, but at the same time they can kind of just branch out into a whole nother thing. So let's see what Ken and Anna have to say about our top 5 challenges. So here we go. Number 5. We'll get into number 5 or 1. Where should we start? Yeah. Well, you know
Which
what?
one
They
is
really
the
don't-
most egregious?
Oh, you know
One?
what? Now that I've go through all of them, they're actually all pretty pretty needed. So let's just start off. You know what? Let's just go 1 through 5. There's not
Okay.
really
'Cause, like,
like
you could do
An order.
A through
Yeah.
A through E.
yeah, I know. Exactly. Okay,
No,
so
I think
number
it's
1.
got to be numbers. Yeah.
Okay, now we got to be numbers. Okay. Number 1. Competitive pricing and market saturation. So, with a large number of sellers on eBay offering the same or similar or identical products, maintaining competitive pricing, of course, can be a challenge. So, how do you, how are you different from all the other sellers within your, could be photos, could be your, actual store, could be, how do you beat all of the other sellers if you're selling very similar items in this competitive market on this platform? So that is number 1.
Great
Kenny,
question.
what do you think?
One thing that we always do is great photos. We try to beat everybody with great photos. That is something that you can control and something that we truly enjoy evolving. Currently, we're in the middle of changing our photo booth setup, and it's just something that's very appealing to the customer, right? Like the first impression. I think that's the first impression that people see in your listing. So I always challenge ourselves to ask the question, is this the best photo quality that we can put up given the tools that we have? So that's one thing that I think I could give as an advice, that take time on your photo, because at the end of the day, I don't want to be retaking photos later. I just want to try to put out the best off the bat. So that's my take.
Well, maybe I because I added in that second part about being different than the other sellers. But our main thing is like competitive pricing and a saturated market on a product. So how do you beat out the competition in that way? Because we
With the
also
actual
know
pricing.
Yeah.
competitive pricing and saturation of the market. Let's say in certain items. I think it's
Yeah.
also different, which I like this combo, because Ken can have more of like a retail arb type of approach. Anna could have more of like a vintage or a rare type of item where that also is different because
Right.
how many other sellers are competing. So that would also come into play. And we also know that being the lowest price doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to beat out the other sellers and make more sales and, you know, generate more money that way just by being the lowest. So what would you say, I guess, in this, I don't know, you have a shoe that there's 300 other sellers.
Yeah. I think if it's very saturated, that's when that's when we use the promoted listings. I
Okay.
think that's, get that sponsored. Our goal is to be in the first page, whether it's through sponsored or, the lowest. I'm not a fan of being the lowest, but I definitely want to be, if somebody searches low to high, I want to be in the first page. So probably, kind of like within, 10 to 20% pricing from the lowest. And again, you just provide the added value of having a better photo, shipping fast, to try to beat out the competition. So that's kind of like how we do it.
Yeah, I think
Anna, what do you think?
Just to add on to that, even from that same perspective and like any type of inventory, thinking about pricing not just as your asking price, but think about it from the buyer's perspective. They may also be paying shipping, and maybe that's a normal thing for that type of product or for that category. But like, is your shipping really reasonable? Is it clear and easy to understand? Is it a number that's easy to add in your head to the list price? Or, is it the standard like authenticity guarantee price or whatever? Like, and I know that works a little bit different, but also, when you're thinking about from the buyer's perspective and their all-in cost of what they're paying, also, like, where are your buyers? Are you making your stuff available internationally? Because maybe you have way less competition. Maybe it's not 300 other sellers who are willing to ship their stuff across the world. Maybe you're competing with, 50 instead of 300. So that's another thing to consider, because maybe, like Ken's kind of saying, it's not necessarily that you have to just race to the bottom, but maybe you're kind of thinking more about the market that you have that maybe the other sellers aren't accessing, aren't choosing to market to. So that's another consideration that really is about the price, but it's not just the one dimensional, like, do you just make the price lower?
Yeah,
That's not the only
exactly.
thing you can do.
Yeah, and being in business, the market changes so much. Like I was thinking
Yeah.
about 2018 and how that market was, and it's just a totally different situation we were in. And then 2020, which we all know what happened there. Even into like 2021, and then now being
Yeah.
2024. Let's say, I know we always go to the shoe
Believe it.
example, but like Nike Dunk lows. Like what were Nike Dunk lows in 2020 to 2021
Yeah,
compared
easy
to
250, easy 250 back then.
now? Exactly.
Now it's like 100.
I mean, there's some online, and even of course at the outlets, you're sourcing them under retail. Like a big difference. And back then it was almost like any color would sell for you. And then now there's like so much of, I guess, dunk lows and dunk highs market saturated pretty much. I mean, with different colors. But how do you pivot and make those changes like as a business? And you also know that the ones that don't want to change are usually the ones that get left behind as time goes on, because like, what? This always worked for me. I'm not going to change
Right.
things.
Yeah.
So, all right, let's go to number 2, which I think Anna's favorite here.
Oh.
Managing inventory
Oh
effectively.
yeah, that is my favorite.
So balancing inventory levels, tracking your product movement, and also ensuring timely replenishment of items as well. But this could also be a challenge if you're a reseller
Yeah.
with a diverse range of products. So overstocking, understocking, selling items you don't have. Big challenge here on managing inventory effectively. So,
Yeah.
Anna, what do you do? How can a seller be more effective on that?
I mean, effective is almost synonymous with organized in this situation. It's like fall in love with being organized. like determine that you're going to fall in love with being organized. Because I mean, even just thinking, okay, yeah, this is all this stuff's really miscellaneous, like my inventory is. Oh yeah, where is that thing? Like, ain't no way. Ain't no way. In 300 bins of mixed inventory, like, I'm not just gonna spontaneously remember which bin this thing is in.
Yeah.
So I have to have a guide that tells me, which is a spreadsheet in my case. But some people put that in their custom SKU on eBay or in their List Perfectly catalog to locate their items. But there are lots of different ways to do it. But I think just you almost can't be too organized. There was a time, for example, when I first started my store, and I track everything in my own like personal set of separate like Google Sheets, right? And I'm tracking stuff. I'm not like doing complicated functions and, you know, equations and stuff. I'm just literally like tracking and logging everything. But the first year or so, there was information, which I can't even remember what it actually is anymore, but I had several columns of data about each item that I decided after like a year, like, you know what, I don't actually care about tracking that. And so I simplified it and I no longer track those things. But the kind of things that I track are, well, inherently because of how my system is set up, basically I can tell you how old the item is, or like when I got it, where I got it, how much I paid for it, how much I listed it for, and then how much it sold for and how much I paid to ship it. So and the title, of course. there's a title and a bin number in there too. But like attached to each one of those items with their bin number is all of that other information. And that helps me to look at things like, you know, how quick is this selling through or not? What kind of things do I want to source again? What kind of things do I not want to source again? And, you know, so really it's just wherever your bottlenecks are, wherever the mysterious, murky parts of your inventory system are, lean into finding a way to organize that piece better, and you will avoid a lot of heartache.
Kenny, what do you think?
I agree. We are in the
What
process.
she said.
Yeah. We are in the process of trying to fall in love with organizing our clothing category.
Yeah.
It is something that it's so easy to buy clothing for retail arb, you know, because like, you know, when you see $100 hoodie that you can pick up for 10, you know, like I'll buy it all, you know, like it's so easy to say that, right? But as soon as it lands in our basement, now you're just like looking at bags. And technically right now they're just on a 40-gallon trash bags, and there's just probably like 20 of them. And as soon as you see it, it's just overwhelming.
Who's doing the math on the gallons? 800 gallons of clothing.
800 gallons of clothing. Still needs to be, you know, folded, sorted,
Processed.
and you know, tagged. You know, you need to remove the clearance tags. I think that gets me overwhelming, and we are trying to sort through that and build a bin system. So that's going to be our next project for our bin systems.
Well, I guess with clothing, it's kind of like you can get so many pieces, and then when it comes down to like listing it, it's like, are we doing measurements? Are we doing how many photos? And it's probably like one of the most highly saturated, I guess, niches on eBay, and it's also, I guess, very time consuming. But once you own it, you do well. I mean, you can do great, but it's not easy. And I think it's probably the easiest to get into as far as to get the inventory, but the hardest to
process,
maintain and grow and process 100%.
Yeah, so that's really like the challenge that we're you know, trying to face right now. And I mean, you know, like you said, I think, you know, if you buy smart on clothing, you could get, you know, really high ROI when it comes to clothing. It's just a matter of trying to be efficient, right? Because obviously for us, our clothing is about like, you know, let's half of the ASP for sneakers or shoes, right? Like, so when we're trying to sell $100 sneakers, our clothing's usually between $20 to $50. So in terms of revenue, you have to kind of like work with volume. So when volume comes, then there's just more chaos happens. So
Yeah.
I think that would be something that we are trying to learn through, because we cannot just say no to the opportunity of buying clothing just because we don't know how to organize it. Learning how to organize is way better than not having the access to buy things.
Yeah. 100%. All right. Number 3. Are we ready?
Let's do it.
We are.
Handling, shipping, and all the logistics that come with it. Everything to do with shipping, which means cost, materials, delivery times, all of these things that come into play. And, also using multiple carriers if needed, which if you have to go through authenticity, that's also come into play as well.
Yeah.
Accurate
Or multiple
shipping,
platforms.
True, very true. Accurate shipping fees, and also with potential delays and or issues. So before we start going to Ken, I don't know, for some reason, this whole USPS on eBay thing, it's happened to me twice recently, again, Kenny, where they haven't gotten their item, and since it was supposed to be there in, 3 days, they're already opening cases.
Yep.
And so I have to refund them before anything, because they may not get their item, which they will. But since it's not in the time that eBay says that they're going to get it, now I'm in this situation. So it's been happening a lot more than
That is
ever before.
crazy. That is crazy. I mean, first and foremost, we'll definitely have to take that up to them, because it shouldn't be on your kind of like responsibility in a way. I mean, it is, but it can't be refund can't be the first step. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like,
Well, especially when you don't get back the item to resell it. It's
Yeah.
like, so I just lose that. I had that happen this week too with something small, and I was so excited because it was one of the things that has newly been added to the eBay standard envelope program, which is freaking awesome for little stuff like stamps and seeds. But the thing that I sent was an applique patch, and it just never arrived. And it has tracking. The beauty of that program is that now that you can send it for like really cheap, like under $1 with tracking, but it just apparently got lost. And so they're probably never going to get it. I'm never going to get it. It didn't have insurance because it was, this super
Right.
cheap, easy little, postage stamp type of
so what happens?
service, and so I just had to refund it, and I got a neutral feedback about it that I can't do anything about
And you
because
just lose
the person
out?
never got their thing. Yep.
Wow.
So, I mean, eBay has
Yeah.
only told me that if they do get the item, to please contact them and you'll get
Yeah.
the money back.
Oh,
But if they
eBay
never
will-
get it, then I guess both sides, I mean, they get their money back, you don't get anything,
Right.
and we don't know what happens. So
Well, like,
unless you're
and
insured,
how do you
but
know? Right. And so it's like, if it's valuable, then obviously insure it, because at least then you can file a claim. But yeah, for the littler stuff like that, it's like, well, I guess I'm just eating that.
yeah.
Oops.
Yeah, that is kind of wacky. It has to be there has to be some sort of like a better flow about it. And again, part of the struggles and the challenges of running this business is, at the end of the day, we can only do so much. Like we've been to the headquarters multiple times. That is definitely something that we're gonna keep bringing up. But at the end of the day, you have to be able to shoulder some losses and be able to eat the things that are out of our control. Because at the end of the day, customers gonna want to demand their product, and our commitment is try to get to them. But also again, then you have out of your 2,000 transactions, Glenn, you had two bad shipment. So if you look at it in a grand scheme of things, yes, we have to take notes of the issues. We have to make sure we do everything on our end, but at the end of the day, the chances and the dollar amount compared to the ones that went through compared to the ones that didn't is so kind of like minuscule that I mean,
Yeah.
because I've heard a lot of eBay sellers really harp on those things, and they
Yeah.
just pound on, and then to borderline, it kind of like I'm looking at it from the outside. It's like, man, it's really costing them a lot of stress, and I'm like, wow, like 1 out of 100, that's what 1% error is costing you this much distress. I was like, I don't think it's worth it.
Yeah, I mean, I think if it's a systemic problem, like this process is broken, then yeah, definitely keep on, keep on talking about it, keep on advocating for a change. Don't think there's anything wrong with that, but yeah, it's like the emotional state of the person themselves. It's like, don't let that control your whole mood and your whole day and your whole outlook on the platform or on your business or whatever, because it is just a little annoying like
Yeah.
incident, you know what I mean? But even I think you have to just have some grace and have some margin with yourself in this whole area of shipping stuff, because like another example, especially selling miscellaneous, I don't have the same exact type of shipping and packaging for everything. It's all very different all the time. And so there will be times, even as much experience as I have and as much as I know about the different shipping services that I use all the time, occasionally, depending on like what zone it's going to or whatever, like I'll pack up, for example, a coffee mug, and I always double box things like that. And I put packing peanuts in between the two boxes. And sometimes I'll do that whole thing and get it all packed and ready to go. And then I look at like the label page and it's like, oh, well, I just used 2 of my perfectly good, not priority mail boxes for this. And I could have used priority mail because actually for some reason that's going to be cheaper in this case.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
That's
so
true.
now I'm like, oh, I just spent all this time using these 2 boxes that could be used for any shipping service when I could have used the free ones for priority mail. But it's like, yeah, and it's done, and I'm going to put a label on it. And I wouldn't do it the other way. Like, you're not supposed to ship things in priority boxes if you're not using priority mail. So don't do that. But, it's like done is better than perfect. And so as long as you're not breaking the rules, like where you're shipping in boxes you're like not supposed to, it's not allowed, then sometimes you might miss out on getting the very best deal or doing it the very exact perfect way, but it's done and it's getting out the door, and your time is also valuable. So occasionally I'll run into that and I'll be like, oh man, I wish I had known or checked sooner to see on the off chance that this was going to be cheaper priority mail, maybe I would have saved $1. It's like, oh well, like that
Right.
dollar is buying me back my time not repackaging this thing for $1. So you just have to have a bigger perspective, like you said, Ken. Like, think about the big picture, tuck that knowledge away for next time and just keep on getting a little better as you go, and don't worry about it being perfect. Like, it's okay if you eat a little bit of shipping costs every once in a while. Like, you're gonna be fine. So that is my advice.
What about with packing materials and boxes and things like that? I mean, especially if you're a new seller, you're probably like, what do I do now? Or what boxes
Oh,
does have to
yeah.
go in?
It can be really overwhelming.
What's ground advantage?
Well,
That's new. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ground advantage is really
What's
something that
cubic?
we're really
Yeah.
trying to take advantage of. Take advantage.
Ha,
Ground
ha,
advantage.
ha.
Boom.
Pun intended.
Because now you can ship bigger items. I think if I'm not mistaken, it is more cost effective for us to ship ground advantage, especially to Puerto Rico, to Hawaii, Guam. Because I used to pay like $20 to $30 for those things.
Yep.
And when you offer free shipping and because I don't use business policies and shipping policies, I eat that, but I think for boxes for sure, I've always been an advocate of ordering at least one of every free USPS priority box that you can, and try to use that on things that you ship priority for sure. We actually only use those boxes for USPS. Most of our USPS shipment are priority, and then the rest will be just going to brown boxes. We buy 2 different sizes, basically for smaller shoes and bigger shoes, and that's pretty much it. Pretty simple. We use craft paper for what do you call that? Space, for blank space. It's been the most cost effective compared to, I used to use bubble wrap before, and it's just cost effective and space very space effective for us, because you can just crumple the craft rather than having a giant roll of bubble wrap. So that's what we do. I mean,
that'd be such a waste of bubble.
yeah, and there you go. And then that's my wasteful way of shipping things. Let's go to Anna's cost-effective way of shipping things.
No, it's not wasteful. Well, I think you're kind of hitting on something really important. Like for me, there are certain things that I always use my free eBay branded shipping supplies first of all, but for me there are certain things that I still have to order every once in a while to have on hand, and then I also get a bunch of free shipping supplies every week from a local health food store, because they get in a lot of stuff that is in glass jars and stuff like that. So I'll get all kinds of fill, paper and bubble and like compostable packing peanuts, which is really cool, and random boxes. There's a couple places in town that I can get boxes from a lot, but I need a lot of random weird sizes of boxes. So I think for me, the trade-off a little bit has been, like, I do still order a few things, like maybe, I don't know, every quarter or 2, I'll have to restock on like certain boxes or certain packing peanuts or something that I just don't get enough of free that are reliable. But I have a big shelf full of, all my different shipping supplies next to my shipping table, and it can be messy. Like I have to kind of reset that thing every once in a while and purge if I'm, taking on too many boxes that are like bigger than what I normally use. I don't need a lot of those on hand. So sometimes I have to recycle things. So I'm kind of trading money for time a little bit, because I have to spend time managing that stuff that I get for free. So, I have a pretty good system, so it doesn't take me a lot of time, and I prefer to, keep that stuff out of the landfill for longer and be able to reuse and recycle and partner with these local businesses. So for me, it's totally worth it to do that. But I also think that is a problem I've brought upon myself by selling anything and everything. So like if you're a new seller, or even if you're not, you can streamline the type of stuff that you sell, at least in terms of the space it takes up and the nature of it, if it's really fragile or not. And you can do kind of like Ken does. Even if you sell a bunch of different things, it's like you have a process for packing a fragile thing, whether it's a mug or a little statue or, I don't know, something else, a vase, right? You have a process for that. You know what type of materials you would use for that. Or if it's clothing, you have the poly mailers that you're going to need, or the bubble mailers, or whatever you use. So I think just knowing what's my process for these types of items is really helpful. But also, like, if it's too complicated, then make it simpler. It all starts with what you're selling. So sell stuff that's easy to ship at first. Master a couple of different shipping services. You don't have to offer 10 shipping services for every item.
That's true.
Like, pick 2 and learn the requirements for those and just get those down. And then if you want to branch out from there, add in other services as you go, like, that's fine, but you don't have to throw yourself into the deep end. So it might feel like you have to, but you can do a couple of simple things up front and then build from there.
Yeah, keep it simple. When you're done eating cereal, you keep that box. And then...
Yeah. Not cereal boxes. No!
I thought Ken was going to say that, with the craft paper, you keep the priority boxes, you wrap it in the craft paper, and then you ship it out Grand Advantage. And then they just don't know.
We are not endorsing that. Do not
I was just kidding. I was saying that's what Ken was going to say. But then he didn't say that. He said he used it for
gift wrap it. Gift wrap it.
Yeah. Imagine how much time.
Yeah.
How much time, extra time
Yeah.
that would
my
be.
God.
Niggas just want to save free for
Wrapping every priority box.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
You have to be careful, though. And also, actually,
It's a federal
Oh, go
offense.
ahead.
I know it is. You can't
Yeah,
be using
don't
any of
do
that.
it. Do not do it.
Do not do it. And also, it's
But
kind
I'm
of.
running.
Oh, sorry. I was gonna say that kind of sucks
no,
though
go ahead.
when they do use like the flat rate boxes when they're not supposed to, and then it gets
Yeah.
like sent back or like things like that happen. And usually it happens, of course, with like the new sellers that don't know you can't use
Yeah.
those boxes.
Or the
But
buyer
it just-
ends up paying more,
Oh,
right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
that could be true, too.
that
Upon
was
delivery.
terrible.
Yeah.
That's a terrible,
Terrible.
terrible.
Terrible
Yeah,
idea.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't do it.
Don't do it. Okay, Anna, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, no, you're fine. I was just going to say, I've actually run into a situation recently, which maybe this is a perfect segue into our segment about List Perfectly today, because as you may or may not know, every 4 episodes or so, we're doing a little segment where we dive a little deeper into that. But I have fortunately actually sold things on platform other than eBay. And so I've had to realize, oh, I probably shouldn't wrap this thing with eBay tape. So I've had to like really lean hard into my non-eBay branded supplies to ship those things. And I am now realizing like, okay, well, if these other platforms pick up, like I'm probably going to have to be more mindful of that and have some more options. Luckily, it's worked out with what I already have on hand so far. But like, thank goodness I already had some clear tape, because I was like, oh, I probably shouldn't. You know, that might cause a problem. Like, I don't know. I know, like on Amazon, if you send something in eBay packaging, they might think you're drop shipping it, and you're not allowed to do that.
Or vice versa.
And so you can you can get your
Account
stuff shut down. But well, I don't know. Maybe I'm being ignorant, but like I reuse Amazon boxes all the time to ship stuff on eBay, and it's all wrapped in eBay tape. It's like, well, I'm not drop shipping this. I'm just recycling a box.
Yeah,
but I think
exactly.
that's pretty normal on eBay. So anyway, but yeah. So let's talk a little bit about List Perfectly cross-listing, among other things, right? So I've been the newest to the club of using cross-listing at all, and I've got over 300 of my items in my List Perfectly catalog now. So this is just me giving you guys an update on my usage of it. So feel free to give me feedback or tell me that I'm an idiot. It's fine. But basically I have, some stuff on, obviously all my stuff lives on eBay. So then I've cross-listed or imported it to my List Perfectly catalog, and from there I'm pushing it out to some other platforms selectively depending on what type of inventory. So Poshmark, I've done some clothing and some shoes and accessories like hats or purses, stuff like that. Some vintage stuff for sure. And then on Mercari, I've also done kind of the same, mostly clothing and shoes. I'm not doing much with hard goods yet, just because clothing is one of my bigger categories anyway. And that's what I see selling a lot on most of the other platforms that I'm interested in. So Poshmark, Mercari, and then Depop is one that I'm kind of getting into now, which I didn't realize until now, because I never shopped on there. I never used it, but I didn't realize that there's no titles for the items on Depop. Did you know that?
Nope, we
They
don't sell
have
there.
a title.
We don't sell
It's
there,
just a
but that's
picture.
good to know.
It's bizarre. Anyway, so I'm doing some clothing and some shoes over there too, and some accessories. But it's been good to learn. But basically, I've only sold a couple things on Mercari so far.
Yep.
I sold a North Face coat that I got for $1 at a thrift store, and I sold a pair of sneakers actually. So those have both been good, but it's so funny learning the new platforms and on Mercari the buyer, or the way I have it set, the buyer pays for the shipping, and they just send you the label, and it's I don't have to choose anything. There's no figuring out what shipping service to use, or they just kind of tell you your handling time is you got to ship it out in the next 3 days. It's way more streamlined.
Very.
So that's cool, except that it's not USPS, so they can't pick it up from my house. So I do have to take that somewhere, because I think it's FedEx, right?
Sometimes
FedEx or
UPS.
I think maybe it's UPS.
Yeah, you could do either one, but
Yep.
Oh, okay. So that's been really interesting. But I hope that I will continue to get more sales. Right now, I didn't even think about this either because I haven't been a new seller in such a long time. But I have like a limit. Like I can only have 100 items on Mercari.
For listing
So
limit.
I very quickly, with List Perfectly, got 100 items there and then was going to do the 101st item. And it was like, you can save this as a draft. And I was like, what? Really?
But I'm not
So
done.
I don't know when that. Yeah, I was like on a roll. I was kind of sad, but that's a Mercari platform thing. So hopefully in the next couple weeks, maybe, I don't know if I have to make more sales to get more confirmed deliveries or something. I don't know what it's based on, but hopefully I'll get more over there.
But I have 55,900 more items to go.
I know. I'm like, but I
Yeah.
have so many. I want to try. So that's how it's going. I'm really thrilled that I have actually made a couple of good sales. Both of them were, I want to say, both of them were like over $50 for sure. Can't remember exactly, but I was like, those are good sales. Like for me, my average sale price, especially like last year in light of semi-liquidating and stuff, was pretty low. Like I think it was under $25 an item. So any sales that are over 50 right now are helping me. I know that through the course of the year, like that's helping me push my ASP up. So that was pretty cool to get that right out the gate on Mercari. But anyway, have you guys had any weird experiences on other platforms lately, or any new List Perfectly things that you've tried?
Kenny?
I am making Mercari my next platform I'm gonna conquer. Because while in the last 2 months in our group chat, Glen and Anna has been making sales on Mercari, and I feel like I'm missing out.
Yeah, now you're the odd man out. See, this is what peer pressure will do.
Right, that
Beware.
and also me being using Poshmark more. I'm like, man, I want to be selling on Mercari too. I used to sell on Mercari a lot, but again, we're in the middle of getting. We were in the middle of doing inventory check, and then we just added 2,000 listings to our store. So now we have to make sure everything's stored properly. But that's definitely again going back to organization. It is very important before just randomly cross listing. We want to be we want to have a plan. So that's definitely going to be a year-long project for sure, because I think we haven't really took advantage of cross-listing to other platforms in Q4 last year. So that's definitely, I think, I think there would have been at least $10,000 in sales that we missed out on selling on different platform, but we weren't able to optimize it fast enough. So this year we're giving a longer kind of like timeline, but also having our goal is to do $10,000 in sales on other platform. So we have a year long to prepare. So that's kind of like
well, honestly, when I was first kind of getting serious about dabbling in cross listing, there's a lot of reasons. One of them is to learn the other platforms. Like I mean, they have some significant market share, and I have never even used them as a buyer. So it's like I would just want to know what's going on right in the field. But also, like, of course, I want to make more sales every month. Like, that's a huge part of it. And for me, like, I even thought about doing that years ago. I have had experience selling on Etsy, and I wanted to maybe put some of my vintage clothing on Etsy. But because eBay was always so good, I was like, well, I don't want to take time away that I could be doing the thing that I know works to go try something that may or may not work and have to manually manage multiple platforms. Like, was not interested in doing that. Hence why I have never done it. But now, like, some of the things that were kind of like the bigger what ifs to me about cross-listing to other platforms are even like being further solved. So that's really cool. Like, I don't know how much you guys have delved into this yet, but since I'm new to List Perfectly, I've put in some actual time, like really learning how to use it and learning some of the ins and outs of the different features and stuff. And I've even had some like one-on-one training about it that I asked for. so that I can really understand it. But you know, two of the newest features that they have out are like two of the things about the whole platform that I'm most excited about, even as a new person, because you know, one of them is the auto delist feature, which that is just huge to me. Like that's a big what if, like, well, what if something sells and I forget or I can't go and immediately remove it from the other platforms. And so the fact, and now I have it, like it's part of my account. It's on the Pro Plus plan and it's awesome. Like it really does. I can set it to 1 minute. Every 1 minute it scans all my platforms, finds the things that sold, detects the sales, and then marks them as sold on the other platforms and like takes them off. It's awesome.
Yep.
So the fact that that's available now, like that was one of my biggest worries. And of course, I know that I can control like how many items I'm managing on these other platforms, and that's part of why I'm not just dumping all 10,000 things over to other platforms. Like I'm ramping it up slowly and deliberately, but it's awesome. Like that is like such a magical feature to me, and it works really well. I have had no problems with it. And even though it's really new. And then the other thing, which I was less excited about because I was too distracted by the auto delist. I was really excited about that. But the other new feature is the issue finder. And so I was going along working on getting my stuff into my catalog and cross listing, and I was like all excited about the auto delist. And then I finally got around to learning about the issue finder, and it's actually really cool too. So, and I know you guys already know about this, but I'm just going to say it for the sake of everyone listening too. That's really about doing like a checkup on all the listings in your List Perfectly catalog. So if there's some weird little thing that happens where, hey, this listing's in your catalog, but it's not showing up or something, there's some discrepancy about the actual listing on one of these platforms, it detects that there's like a discrepancy, and then it gives you the options like to really quickly, easily fix whatever it is, or, you know, if there's internal communication problems or whatever and things aren't adding up, like it tells you which listings are having some kind of issue, what the issue is, and then you can quickly fix it. So you don't have to worry about like, you know, combing through your listings and just looking for any little signs of a problem. So, you know, I haven't been on like using List Perfectly very long, so I never ran into that organically. Like I came in basically being able to avoid that as a problem, but I could definitely see where especially the more you have listed and the more platforms you're on, like how, like what a crazy web of like keeping track of things that could be if that didn't exist. So, but what do you guys think about that one? Because you have been using List Perfectly a lot longer. And like, have you ever run into weird issues in your catalog where you're like, now I'm racking my brain trying to figure out what the issue is? Like, is this an exciting feature for you guys?
I mean, it definitely is, because I need to, especially on the Mercari side. I mean, I had great sales. I had $100-something one on some women's Metcons. I sold some golf shoes for $100. Last couple of days, so Mercari's been pretty good, but I noticed that without the auto delist, there's some stuff on there I need to take off 100%.
You're like,
that,
ooh,
yeah. The good thing is that, I mean, with List Perfectly and even just Mercari in general, it's a lot easier to take them down compared to Poshmark. Poshmark, you have to like literally go item by item, open that item, then delete the item, and it's like, oh man, this is...
I am not gonna lie,
Exactly.
I do not enjoy Poshmark so far.
Either do I. I'm not gonna lie, I do not like it either. I'm not gonna lie.
It's just like,
oh, you guys don't like low
I'm so
ballers?
frustrated.
You guys don't like low ballers?
No,
So
I
offer
don't
you
even
$5.
get
Spam. It's like trying to be a social media, like follow this and like that, and I'm just like, this is all just nonsense. I want to sell stuff. Don't you want to buy stuff? Isn't that the whole point? Like, I feel like it's so not straightforward. I just don't like it.
No, I feel like
if
it's
I
more
started
about
selling
other
things,
stuff.
I would probably like it more, but
Yeah.
it feels like very, I don't know, their listing flow is pretty streamlined in some ways that I like, but the actual platform overall, I'm just like, I don't think this is for me. I don't think it's my place.
But if it's for you, then
I'm
do your
gonna
thing.
leave. I'm gonna leave that stuff on there though, because that was the first one that I cross listed to, and like slowly, some of those things have sold on other platforms now, and thanks to the auto delist, like they're being taken off Poshmark. So I'm just watching that number go down and down, and like not adding more stuff to my closet. But I wonder how long it will take for like literally all of that stuff to just sell somewhere else, like. So now it's just a game for me of watching that, seeing what happens. But I mean, I'm not opposed to changing my mind, guys. It's okay to change your mind. But based on my experience so far, it is not my jam. And I'm sad because I know a lot of people who love it, and I wanted to love it, and I don't.
So there we go.
But I do love that I could easily cross-list to it. That's about the only thing.
Yeah, true. Yeah, go Mercari.
Go Mercari.
Yeah, go
so far,
Mercari.
so good.
So far, so good.
I'll be there soon, Mercari.
Okay, Ken's coming for you. All right, shall we get back into the mix?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, don't we have like two more?
We have two left. So here we go. Number 4, maintaining a positive seller reputation.
Oh, reputation.
Yeah,
like
like in the streets or like
in the streets.
feedback
streets.
or
Yeah.
So it doesn't all have to be about eBay's positive feedback. They want it to be about like consistent customer service, accurately describing
metrics.
products, resolving any disputes or issues with the item. Let's say if things go not as planned on the sale. So maintaining positive seller reputation, which I think that's probably the hardest one of the hardest ones out of the last 2, 3, 4 of them that we talked about, because I guess with taking the photos, what are some, if it's pre-owned, what are the things you're going to show? Are you able to describe that accurately? Some people don't even have anything in the description. Some people don't. Some customers don't even read description. Some do.
Yeah.
The photos really important. But customer service part, I know with like, hey, will you take this if you get an offer? Or, hey, I want to return this. Are you going to respond to them? Are you not? You're on top of things on that side of it. So what do you think, Kenny?
I think I get easily annoyed with like customer that just don't read. And
it's in the
just
syllabus.
and just kind of like
Exactly.
nickel and diming you.
Ugh.
I'm like, like you're already the lowest in the market, and then they just come in like, this one's like $200 on StockX. And you know that when you quote StockX, it's 10% more plus shipping because they have a processing fee that the buyer is paying. So it's like, it's really 250 or 260 at checkout on StockX. And I'm already selling it for 220. Like you're really trying to like get $20 out of me because I'm already giving you a good deal. That kind of gets to under my skin. But again, to have a positive seller reputation, crazy enough, I named my store the Hustlebee, so they could find me on Instagram, and I don't want to be that guy that says like, oh, Hustlebee is rude, Hustlebee is this and that. So I don't want to be that guy. You have to keep it professional, even if you get annoyed. You have to respond professionally, calmly, and nicely. So that's my take on that.
Is the customer always right?
No. No, but the seller but the seller can always be nice.
Okay.
Oh.
That's a good
add
that's
that.
a good
Add
tag.
that. Huh?
You did. You just added it.
I know.
Yeah.
We're gonna add that, right? Whoever's listening, customer is not always right, but the seller can always be nice.
Yeah.
So
That's
Anna,
we need merch. We need merch.
Yeah, merch. Yeah.
Well, I have a few thoughts about this.
Okay, go ahead.
One is that I don't mind having the reputation of not putting up with nonsense or bending over backwards for people who are trying to manipulate something out of me. I can see that 100 miles away, and I will shut it down immediately. Like, I will match your energy, no problem. So I don't care. Like, I don't need your money. Whatever. I'll wait for the next buyer. Literally don't care. But like Ken just said, it's definitely the best, right? To be kind, to be professional, definitely, no doubt about it. I was raised right by the Scavenger Life, in their philosophy of handling customer service is basically like, be reasonable, be like, it's business, right? There's a process for everything. People will come and throw some emotional bait at you to try to get you engaged in like a conflict with them about something. And it's like, if you're not happy, you're welcome to open a return case for a full refund, period. Don't need to respond to anything else that they said in their message. Like, you can just ignore all of that, you know? And I think that's fine. I think that's a way of enforcing a boundary. Like, there is a process here for you. Of course, I don't want you to have a bad experience, right? If I'm feeling really nice, I might say, I'm really sorry about that. But, like, here's the process, you know? I'm not going to, like, grovel or give you a refund because you thought it was more blue than the blue that it is or whatever. Like, no, if you don't like it, send it back. I will sell it to someone else. You know? Like, it's business. Treat it like business. So I feel like I got a good upbringing in how to... for myself, like how to see that, right? Not that it doesn't always get under my skin when that kind of stuff happens. It is really irritating and can be like, it can feel funky and bad. But I also think like, I don't care about being perfect. I care about being kind of like fair and honest, right? So if I'm upset about something as a buyer, or I don't know, like I'm going to always be running things through the lens of kind of the golden rule, right? Like, I'm not going to treat my buyers a way I wouldn't want to be treated, or that I think would be really unfair, or like take advantage of them, or be overly like mean or nasty in response, you know? Like I said, if you like come at me with that, like I'm not going to be sweet to you. I'm going to be bristly probably, but I'm still going to keep it professional. So it's just like, I think I'm not expecting, you know, anything out of anyone else that that's not a standard I wouldn't hold myself to. So if somebody else like wants something else, then they can go somewhere else and get that, you know?
Very true. Very true. And well, your kind of, I guess feedback leads into number 5, which is, dealing with returns and refunds, which is the seller's favorite. Managing returns and refunds, yes, can be time consuming and costly. But how are you going to handle return request, assessing condition of the returned item when it comes back, and managing inventory of those items? Do they go back into inventory? Is it brand new with tags still? Is it not? Are you going to, contact eBay with that? So now you're spending, different time on that one item compared to the other 70 items you still have to ship, or that you did ship, and following back with those. So dealing with returns and refunds. And I know it could ruin somebody's day as a seller. Ken said that, like, it's 1% of your thing, and why does it matter?
Sometimes it's a big 1%. Sometimes it's a painful,
it's the biggest 1%.
You just get angry, you throw your phone, and I'm done. This is stupid. And so,
and then they don't even send it back.
I know, right? And it's just on there.
Sometimes they don't. I can't believe it when people do that.
Most of them don't, actually.
I know.
Wild.
Well, you would think that. So here's my thing, though. Dealing with returns and refunds, it's a big part of this whole eBay journey. And Top Rated Plus seller, which we have gone live, we talked about it. For me, selling hats, well, when I did sell hats on eBay, it is not worth it. being a Top Rated Plus seller compared to Top Rated and so on. I actually got a return request, which is auto accepted, for a fitted hat that sold right after Christmas. And so now that one's coming back next couple of days. But when you compare it to other platforms that their return requests are different, or return policies are different, you really start to figure out, maybe it depends on what you're selling, what really works out for you. So in Amazon's case, you could return whatever you want. I mean,
Right.
it does not matter condition. Hell, even send in a different item, which that's happened as a seller many times.
Ugh.
It goes through no matter what. So return whatever, whenever, seems to be okay. Mercari wise, it's like, you're gonna leave this feedback. You're gonna go through the item and make sure you like what you received, and you're gonna hit that button that you're good to go. They get paid out, and that's it. Like, you're not gonna deal with this ever again.
After that, yeah, you've decided you're not returning it.
Mm-hmm. What I do like about that, though, is that, let's say in this case, 2.5 months later, that person's not gonna be like, I don't want this item anymore.
Right.
In this case, it's
We're like, oh, the event that I bought this for is over now, and I'm gonna send it back.
Exactly. Yeah. So I do kind of like they give you like a good 3 days to, look at the item. Is it what you wanted? Did you get what you ordered? Things like that. Is it the condition that you ordered it in? I think that's great too. And then on the whatnot side, which I'm moving more volume than anything, it's like they go straight to customer service, and I don't see any returns at all.
I wondered how that worked on Whatnot.
Yeah, so that's a totally different ball game there. So every platform is different on that side of things, but I know we are talking the eBay side, managing the returns, processing that inventory, and for the ones that do come back, if they are damaged, then I'll take the half off from that. But then I'm either gonna have to just liquidate it, donate it, something like that. So. Anna, what do you think? Returns and refunds, number 5.
Yeah. I mean, fortunately for me, there's so many things that you can do right as a seller from sourcing to listing it to shipping it properly that will avoid returns. In my experience, there's not a whole lot of buyers out there who are trying to treat eBay sellers like a rental service or, just trying to like create problems or super wishy-washy. I mean, I do have returns. I'm sure every month I have at least one return, but that's one out of usually 200 to 400 items. So it's like, okay, it's annoying, but again, it kind of gets buried under all of the good that happens. And so I think that for me, returns and refunds, it's like the easiest thing is to just do like all the stuff that eBay actually recommends us to do as sellers. So automatic returns are like automatically approved. They can send them back within 30 days for a full refund. There are some things now that I have the buyer pay the return shipping on, and I think that's a deterrent for people probably if they are just trying to get it for an event or whatever, something to wear or whatever. And so other than that, I'm just like, I just try to keep it in context, when it happens, try not to let it bother me too much. And then also kind of wait and see if they even send it back, because like Ken said, a lot of times they don't. Mm-hmm. And then it's like, well, now I've sort of gotten in a twist for nothing, and, I'm not even going to get it back anyway. So when it comes back, unless it's broken or whatever, then I will definitely reach out to eBay. And the beautiful thing is, if you take good photos of your items when they sell, well, there's the evidence that they were in good condition when you sent it, right? Mm-hmm. And then when it comes back to you and it's obviously been used or the tags have been removed or it's broken or something, it's like, okay, well, this was either the buyer or the carrier, like the postal carrier shipping service that made a problem here. So there's a process for both of those things. So it's just like, that's annoying. It does take extra time, but it's a very small percentage. So I think doing everything you can to make buyers trust you and know that they have the peace of mind of knowing they can return this. But, also it's a streamlined process. It doesn't happen very often because you do everything in your power to get the thing that they actually think they're getting into their hands. And usually it's not a problem. So that's kind of my take on that.
I flipped over all these tables for nothing. They didn't even ship
Yeah.
it back.
Stubbed my toe in the process.
Broke my phone. Now I have to see if I win this seller club to get a new one.
To get a new one.
Oh my gosh, someone's gonna win! I'm so excited.
Yeah.
Actually, someone already has one. We just haven't announced it.
Oh, true.
So
So
I agree. I agree with everything. My whole blanket statement is, if you are selling something, it's part of retail, wholesale
Yep.
industry. I think if you cannot stomach it, then you better rethink with the industry that you are in. You might have to move to service instead of product, because there's no returning a service. but you still get disputes
No.
for payment or no payment, right? So I guess there's really no there's no
You're not safe anywhere.
yeah, you're not
Okay.
safe. You're not safe. So I would say, just don't get too stressed about it. And again, look at the numbers. I'm sure it's less than 10%.
All right, so that's our 5. I want to review real quick. Number 1, competitive pricing and market saturation. Number 2, managing inventory effectively. Number 3, handling shipping and all the logistics that come with it. Number 4, maintaining a positive seller reputation. And number 5, dealing with returns and refunds. Anything else?
I like this Hustler Hacks throwback situation.
You're
It's
like,
a great way to do the Q&A episode.
There you go. Let's get
There were
it.
Q's and A's, guys.
Q's and A's.
Yep.
Let's get this handled. You know what? More Hustler Hacks throwbacks.
Let's
I
do
know.
that.
I
like
really
that.
like it a lot. I mean, honestly,
Might have to do it
haven't
one-
gotten a ton of questions from the
Yep.
community lately, and a lot of people have showed up and asked us in person at our Seller Club seminars on listing party. So,
That's true.
it's like we answer them right in the moment. And I mean, we could bring some of those questions to here too for the sake of everyone else. But, you can come ask us questions live now. So it's kind of a game changer.
Yeah.
Yeah,
very true.
so also before we wrap this up, Anna, let's make the announcement when our next listing party seminar will be.
Yes, it is actually your chance to come hear us talk about another topic and also ask us questions and just hang out and discuss with us. It's actually going to be March 5th, and it's going to be, let's see, what is it? 2
Tuesday,
p.m.
yep.
Pacific time. Yeah, Tuesday, March 5th. Yeah. 2 p.m. Pacific time, which means 3 p.m. Mountain, 4 p.m. Central, 5 p.m. Eastern. And the 3 of us are in 3 out of 4 of those time zones. So that's why I'm like, let's just say all of them, because we do have people from all different time zones tuning in for that. So do we want to tell them what we're talking about or not?
It's going to
Just
be a
wait and see.
surprise.
Okay.
It's going to be really good.
It's a
So
surprise.
Don't miss it.
You have to
come
be
hang
there.
out with us.
Yep.
Ask us your questions.
Yep, and
We did have somebody ask us. Oh, sorry.
Go.
On the last one, just when's the next time we're doing like a series of micro episodes?
Oh.
Like how we did the 12 days of
Oh,
Seller Club around Christmas time.
Yep. Apparently, a
So
lot
we
of
may have
people
to
like
figure out-
it, so we're gonna
Yeah.
work it in for a schedule, for sure in the near future. And also,
Yeah.
for the listing party is pretty much an accountability group that is built in with your subscription with List Perfectly. So if you have List Perfectly, you actually get to access listing party, which is pretty much, there is a 24-hour room, there is a community, there are people that you can be friends with, nice people that can help you, that can give you good advices. So if you're not subscribed to List Perfectly yet, make sure you subscribe and use our code SellerClubPod to get 30% off of your first month, and you join the listing party for free.
Yeah, listing party's all part of that. And there's like a bunch of different scheduled, basically like Zoom call like rooms that are
Different
scheduled all the
topics,
time.
yep.
So ours is just one of many, but come to ours because it'll
For
be
sure.
fun.
Exactly.
Alrighty. Anything
All right,
else,
we're
Glenn?
done. I think we're good to go.
I think that's it. Thank you,
Alright.
Mr. Hacks.
Mr. Hacks, I like that.
Mr. Hacks. Thank you.
Mr. Hacks.
And guys, we will see you on the next episode. And congratulations to the winner for the brand new iPhone 15 in the Seller Club Green. Seller Club, we are out. See you in the next one.
See ya.
Bye.